Hey guys, Sam LG here, and let's get right into the next video for the day. Today was super icy out on the road, so I couldn't really take out my car, but that doesn't mean I can't make a video inside the house. So, without anything else really, let's jump right into it. First off, I want to say that I'm going to be doing another car review really soon and I don't want to give the car away. One of my friends has a very special car, and if it all goes very well, you guys might see that review. Not might, you guys will see that review next week. But aside from that, I'm actually pretty excited about that. But aside from that, let's kind of jump right into today's video, which is mostly going to be talking about businessy stuff. I'm gonna kind of take a break away from the cars. If you guys don't know, I'm in the master's degree program here in Portland, and well, I guess more specifically, the Masters of Financial Analysis. And I've been taking a bunch of different classes, and I'm getting pretty far along. One of those classes that I'm in now, currently, is titled Alliances and Acquisitions. That's a pretty interesting class, and I had no idea what to expect going into it, but I've learned a lot, and I kind of want to share that with you guys because what I've learned in that class is really different, I guess, from like a traditional accounting or a finance or whatever it might be. The class, for the most part, deals with making alliances with like one company makes an alliance with another company, or a company merges with another company, or just overall purchases another company. There's many different terminologies I'm going to be throwing around throughout this entire thing too, and I'm kind of going to be explaining it. But when two businesses come together, the cost savings that they are to get basically is called synergies. And I had no idea what that meant until, taking this class and looking up what the word meant. And it's basically like if company A were to do something and company B was to do the same thing, I guess, and they all have their revenue streams associated with that thing, like making a product or something. So each of these companies has their own revenue stream, their own costs, their own, everything. But when they come together, that same product costs less to produce and you get more revenues out of it because of the whole economies of scale. The fixed costs associated with said product, meaning like rent for the building or um, I don't know, licensing fees that you might have to pay, a one-time deal, that kind of a thing. The fixed costs, so those one-time costs, are basically shrunk down um, by product. So the more you make, the less it costs. And the savings those companies get from doing that alliance or merger or whatever it might be outweighs what they could have done, and that's the important part. It outweighs what they could have done separately. So it's beneficial for them to work together. And continuing on this, each of the companies, when they're trying to make a merger or they're trying to get some kind of a deal together to maybe purchase another company, each company, so company A and company B, evaluate each other's businesses. So company A evaluates what company B is worth, and vice versa. Company B evaluates company A's worth. Now, the weird part associated with this, and I kind of had an idea that this would go this way, but I didn't really think it to be totally true. But basically, it comes down to each of the companies, they can manipulate the numbers to represent whatever they want it to be. In fact, the things I've heard associated with this, I mean, there's definitely a bunch of jokes out there. One of them is, so three people are applying for a job, and the first person goes into the boss, and the boss says, "What's 1 plus 1?" The guy says 2, and the boss says, "Goodbye." Second person comes in for the interview. The boss again asks, "What's 1 plus 1?" And the guy says, "Well, based on all the possible mathematical calculations, the answer is 2." And the boss said, "Goodbye." And then the third person comes in, and the boss asks, "What's 1 plus 1?" And the guy thinks for a second and says, "What do you want it to be?" And that's kind of the idea behind alliances, mergers, and acquisitions. It's basically manipulating the numbers to represent what a business believes that another business is worth, and it's beneficial to them to purchase at that price. I mean, think about it. When you go to the store and you're, for example, trying to buy a car, so you go to the dealer, you're trying to haggle the price down to get it at the cheapest rate possible. That's pretty much what the businesses kind of do with each other. One business tries to buy another business, they're going to try to buy it for the cheapest possible that they could. Um, so, for example, if a company is evaluated at like $1 million and this other, whatever company it might be, decides to purchase this company, they kind of go into this cycle of haggling to try to make it so that both parties are happy, I guess. And that works out in most cases. Sometimes it turns out that one party might not be happy and the other one is has more of a gain than the other company. But it basically comes down to manipulating the numbers in such a way that it's beneficial to both sides. And I just kind of thought that was really interesting because back in high school, when I took my very first accounting class, it was pretty clear that there was a straight up answer. You know, uh, if a company was to uh, purchase some product from another company and it costs $10, you're gonna credit cash for $10 and you're gonna debit inventory for $10. And that was pretty much the answer. I mean, there's a definite credit, there's a definite debit, and that's it. You know, it's a straight up black and white answer. There's no in between. And kind of going throughout college and getting my bachelor's degree in accounting, I kind of realized that that's not the case necessarily. Um, you can definitely manipulate, and not to that extent in accounting, because you still have to follow GAAP and SEC regulations. But when you're thinking about it from a financial standpoint, when a company is trying to buy another company, like company A is going to try to value company B at the lowest rate possible, and company B is going to do the same if they're trying to acquire this company. So I guess what I'm trying to say is finance and accounting, it's not as black and white as people might think. I mean, there's a lot of gray areas, and I had no idea about that going into the program and, you know, getting my degree. But the more I like dive in deeper into my master's degree, I'm realizing that this is more and more the case, and it's really interesting because basically, I mean, I'm taking it to a really big extreme right now, but like a company that's totally worthless would value themselves as being so expensive and worth so much if they're going to be acquired by another company, um, just to get the highest amount of money possible. And then this company, without having the inside information that this company does, might not necessarily value that company as high as they might. So who really knows which number is true? I mean, on either side, they're doing a lot of estimating and a lot of guesswork. So yes, they're using a lot of data. Yes, they're using appropriate data, but either side doesn't have the information necessary to evaluate each other at the in the best way possible. And I don't know, I just kind of found that really interesting and wanted to kind of discuss that with well, YouTube, all of you guys, and just kind of see what your thoughts are, because I find it really interesting for this. I mean, think about it. A company kind of grows based on, you know, uh, they purchase and they keep growing. They get more money, they make another building, they make another something, they make more products, and they just keep growing and growing and growing. Well, while that's happening, how do you value that? I mean, there are certain things that you can't necessarily put a value to, or maybe you can. I mean, how can you put a value to the Walt Disney name, or even Nike, the little swoosh symbol. How can you put a value to that without any information at all? I mean, if some company is trying to, I know it's impossible, or not impossible, but highly unlikely that another company would try to buy Nike, but if they did, how would they value the Nike swoosh? I mean, aside from the assets which can be valued and have a definite value assigned to them, aside from the intangible ones, like the swoosh, how would you value that? And how would it be beneficial to both sides, both parties? How could Nike get the most money out of the deal as possible, and how can this other company purchase Nike and think of it as a pretty good deal? I mean, it's really hard to assign a value to something like that. And I just found that really interesting that a lot of this is just kind of, I mean, again, I'm stretching it out really far, but it's kind of like you're making up your own numbers. You're estimating. I mean, yes, there's validity to the numbers behind those estimations, but again, they're estimations. It's really, I don't know, I just found it really interesting and definitely worth the discussion. And kind of taking a step back and going back to the discussion on synergies, how can a company that's going to acquire another company kind of just be like, okay, so based on all these calculations, we're estimating that there's going to be a decrease in the cost of your goods sold of 20%, 40%, 50%, I don't know. How can a company make that assumption without, the reality, without actually seeing it happen? Um, I don't know. There's just a lot of gray areas in finance and accounting, and I'm becoming increasingly more and more aware of it, and it's just really bizarre. Um, I know this is pretty much how it's always been, but I don't know. It just kind of strikes me as interesting because you're assigning values to things that I don't know. They might not be worth anything. They might be worth a lot, but how do you know? Is the question. And how can you assign a value to it that makes it beneficial to both sides? I mean, yes, it comes down to negotiation to make sure each of you get the best deals possible, but how do you know what the best deal is? Yeah, it's estimating, but again, how do you know truly what the best deal is? So, I guess I'll leave you guys with that to kind of take the discussion and see, where this might go. While in the program, I'm definitely going to be making more videos like this the more I kind of come across certain topics like this, because I thought this was super interesting and definitely worth the discussion. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed this. It's definitely something I would want to talk more about, but I mean, if you guys don't find business stuff interesting, then it's not worth my time to put out a video for you guys to watch it and not be interested. You know what I mean? But I mean, if you guys enjoyed it, then by all means, please let me know and I can do more videos like this. But anyway, new car review coming really soon, hopefully next week. And if all works out really well, you guys will definitely see it. I'm definitely excited about it. And I'll leave you guys with that. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.